up, can you guys just let them enter? Perfect. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fourth day of the Catalyzing Change Week. So today we're going to be talking about navigating social enterprises in the new age era, the challenges and opportunities that is being presented by our Bangladesh chapter co-chairs. Our speakers are Dr. Ananya Rayan, Mr. Ashish Damle, and Mohammed Sariful Islam. Before we start, a bit of housekeeping. So it would be great if you can keep your video on. Please introduce your name and company and unmute when you speak. For any technical questions, please reach out to zoom.us/support or raise your hand. And most importantly, please enjoy the session. A little about Catalyst Now. So Catalyst Now is a dynamic global movement of social innovators that are transforming the systems and driving sustainable change to advance the United Nations Sustainable Goals worldwide. Catalyst Now aims to create a space where the world's social innovators connect, collaborate, and contribute to transformational change. So you can also fill out our membership application form to join the movement. This, we have prepared a day 4 video that I'd like to play.
Welcome to day 4 of Catalyzing Change Week 2025.
Is the audio plausible?
Yes, it's visible, but you can just play it. It does not work right now. You can kindly click the play button.
Oh, no. Oh, so hold on, let me share sound. Perfect.
The UNHCR. Welcome to day 4 of Catalyzing Change Week 2025. The UNHCR in April 2025 recorded that there were approximately 122.1 million forcibly displaced people in the world. How do we provide support services, assimilate refugees into societal systems? How do they afford basic rights, even as they flee widespread violence, hunger, and conflict? Our theme for today reflects the issues around civic participation, peace, and justice in the journeys of refugees and migrants. Change is only lasting when people have a voice in shaping it. Civic participation is about more than being present. It is about building systems where every voice carries weight and where communities can take part in designing their own futures. Peace and justice are the foundations on which all progress depends. They take root when dialogue replaces division and cooperation overcomes conflict. And in the stories of refugees and migrants, we see both struggle and strength. Displacement tests resilience, but it also reveals new possibilities for innovation, solidarity, and renewal when dignity is protected and contributions are valued. This day invites us to listen deeply, to question what justice truly looks like, and to imagine how inclusive societies can be built stronger and more united. Welcome to the sessions presented by Catalyst Now.
I hope everyone enjoys the video. So now I will be passing to Shariful Islam Sahab to introduce the speakers and give a rundown of the session. Over to you.
Thank you, Shahir, for the nice introductions of the theme as well as the Catalyst Now, in addition to the nice video. So my name is MD Shariful Islam. I'm working for Oxfam in Bangladesh as a head of influencing communication, advocacy, and media. So I will be your host for the next around 50 minutes, where we'll talk about navigating social enterprise in a new era, particularly the challenges and opportunities perspective. Just giving you a very short background, because the panelists who themselves are very renowned and very knowledgeable in terms of exploring this issue. However, from my perspective as a host, what I can tell is that in my last 18 years of career, what I have been seeing is that particularly the development aid sector has been really changing. There are a lot of questions are raising about the models, about the implications. Whatever the model is, ultimately the process, the practice, we would like to support the people who need it. As the whole supply chain is being disrupted. So there is a new, I should say, new or evolving arena that is called social enterprise, through which we can really can help the people who really need the support. It can be from the climate change perspective, can be gender, can be humanitarian area. And for the social enterprise, we can literally do the people, do support the people, as well as generating money. And with this cycle, it can be sustainable. And from that perspective, at the part of Catalyst Change Week 2025, we are organizing sessions, and we have two renowned speaker. Before going to the speaker discussion, I would like to seek your attention, particularly why we are organizing these sessions. I have already mentioned a little bit about how we would like to explore how 8 innovation entrepreneurships can collaborate to build new sustainable model that can really help. Of course, we will reflect on the traditional business model of development sector. In addition to that, as two thought leaders, Ashish Damle and Anona Rahan from Oxfam, and as well as philanthropy, enterprise, and empowerment perspective, they will share their issues. So now I'd like to introduce the two renowned our speaker. One is the Ashish Damle. I'm also a fan of him, and he is also a mentor to me. In last 24 years, he has been working in this sector from the development and humanitarian perspective. He is leading Oxfam in Bangladesh. Previously, he worked in senior roles in Afghanistan, Oxfam, War Child UK, and his experience is diverse, from the local to global, from the NGOs to social enterprise. And we are happy to have him as a speaker, because he will also explore how the grassroots reality can meet in different model by social enterprise and support people. And of course, Anona Rahan, doctor, he is currently the chairperson of iSocial. And since 90s, last 90s, he has been working in this arena as an economist and holding an earning PhD in economics. He started his career in 90s, and he co-founded the DNet, one of the prominent platform in Bangladesh. And currently, as a CEO and chairperson of iSocial, he is bringing this model of social enterprise, empowering rural women, children, youth across board. So this is how he is supporting. And we would like to, through the discussion so far we will have in next 40 or 50 minutes, we basically will cover the reimagining the 8 landscape, as well as the rethinking how philanthropy empowerment can be shaped through the social enterprise model. And of course, the important issue will be the partnership building. So how partnership, cross-sectoral partnership can help us, and sustainable business model can also strengthen that partnership and the ecosystem. And finally, of course, we will discuss the sustainability. So thank you so much, Ashish Damle and Anona Rahan and colleagues and who have joined the sessions. As the discussion will be like, we have some preset questions, but of course, we'll open for you as a open floor discussion, where if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, or you can put your questions on the chat bar. Is it okay? Ashish Damle, Ryan or Rahan, we can proceed on, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I would like to start from Ashish Damle, that I started that the thing like development sector is going through a massive changes or challenges. So from your perspective, how do you see, or what are the most pressing challenges and emerging things that development sector currently is been through? And how should NGOs rethink their role or model in terms of social innovations to stay relevant and impactful?
Thank you. Thank you, Shariful, for this elaborated introduction. I'll begin with your pertaining question about where the entire development sector, which is kind of an ecosystem of NGOs, INGOs, grassroots level initiatives, some social enterprises. Also, it includes the bilateral, multilateral donors and the UN system. So it's a quite expansive ecosystem, which is going through massive challenges. And this is not the first time. There have been incidences in the history since their evolution post World War. multiple times, multiple kinds of crises that the sector has faced in the past. But this time the crisis is a bit unique because it's coming through three dimensions. The first and foremost dimension is the political support or political acceptance of this model. As we know that the global commitments were made somewhere in 1970s, 75s that the developed countries will commit about 0.75% of their gross national income to the underdeveloped countries and for their development on the issues of poverty, etc. There is unapologetic retreat from that commitment now. So of course, it leads to a financial crisis, but it is not because there is a less of money. It's basically because there is a different priorities now. After USAID meltdown, we have seen that repercussions even within the UK and other part of the Europe, where one after another country has reduced their overseas development assistance budget and have diverted those funds to their defense and sponsoring wars. So this political shift or this policy shift is a significant, challenge or one-dimensional challenge. Now, once you make an inquiry as how they are getting this courage to be so unapologetic while making this policy shift, we must understand that the sector for quite number of years has been going through a massive trust deficit. There is a clear disconnect between the people who are suffering, who are recipients of the aid, and also those who are participating in aid, and those who are in the execution or delivery of aid. Despite having significant technological tools, the kind of connect that the development sector, the NGOs, INGOs used to have in the past, they have more isolated and more became like an echo chamber among themselves, and that has really impacted the way the whole sector is now going through a massive trust deficit. So when these political leaders are making these decisions and showing this policy shifts, the challenge is that they remained unchallenged or unquestionable because their constituencies are also supporting that. And then the third challenge, which is more internal to us, that I do see that there is a lack of introspection among the development aid sector, and there is a tendency of working in silos. This is a time when over the competition, collaboration should be there. The organizations should come together. They should create models which are economically beneficial, which are low cost, high impact kind of modeling. But instead of doing that, the transformations or restructurings are more superficial level to respond to this financial crisis. So there is a lack of deeper understanding. I must say that it's quite reflective the way different organizations or different institutions are responding to that. And under that circumstances, I feel, or in that situation, I feel there is a widened focus is towards the social enterprising, which is, by the way, not a new thing at all. Social enterprising has as old history as the development sector itself. Even in early 90s and 20th century, we do see that there are some massive experimentation that had happened in India about the cooperatives. Amul is one of the biggest cooperatives still functioning and leading. And similarly in Bangladesh, the Grameen Bank experiment, the microfinance experiment, these are all examples of how social enterprising has evolved over the years. But now there is a shift in terms of an attention that how can we think social enterprising as a new way to approach the development and humanitarian issues around the world, while there is this political setback that the sector is receiving now. So I stop here
Exactly.
as an
Yes,
introductory
that I will
remarks.
get back to particularly the where you stop the political shift and setback. So particularly, I would like to come to Anana Raihan, doctor. Before come to him, those who have joined right now, I would like to say that we have two very prominent guests. One is Ashish Damle and Dr. Anana Raihan. If you have any questions, thought, please keep it with you, or you can put it in the box chat box, or you can, after 40 minutes or 45-minute discussion, we can also raise your hands and we would like also hear from you. So Dr. Raihan, so Ashish Damle has rightly portrayed the challenges that development sector currently is going through. So as we are thinking the social enterprise, particularly from the Catalyst Now, what the platform is globally has been working on. So my question would be to you, how can social enterprise models can overcome the limitation of the traditional aid model currently we are going through? And what are the key principle or thought process that can make this the sector or the system sustainable through the lens of social enterprise? Over to you, and you are very good at that because you have that capacity and knowledge to address this.
Thank you, Sharif Bhai. It's my privilege to be here today. So Ashish laid the background about the crisis in the development aid, but I would like to start with the point that the development sector as a whole has not been dependent fully on foreign aid or aid per se. So there were innovative models, both in terms of design and also in execution, and also financial innovations have been the key factors for thriving social enterprises across the globe. Ashish mentioned some examples also. So there are a big network of smaller social enterprises who have been dependent on a hybrid model where they have been recycling the income generated through various activities and also partially dependent on aid. Uh, so I would say that the innovation of social enterprises uh, actually needs to be now relooked, and that should be replicated across the board, because some of the NGOs, I mean, if we say non-profit or not-for-profit NGOs who have been dependent on the foreign aid, especially those who are dependent, those who have been working in the domain of right-based approach. I mean, with right-based approach, they are actually in deep crisis. But those, especially with microfinance-related activities, they have been able to channel the income from the microfinance to various development activities. They are in a better shape now. So I would say that while the innovations are there, that innovations need to be transferred to the other segment of the social enterprises who have been dependent on aid. So I would say that some kind of entrepreneurial transformation is required for social enterprises, and examples and models are already there that just need to be replicated. Yeah, so I would say that that would be the key in terms of, I mean, what we should look at in coming days.
Exactly. Where you just stop, I would like to start from there and would like to come to Ashish Damle. Anand was saying examples are there, and Ashish Damle, you were mentioning about particularly BRAC, Amul, as well as the Grameen Bank, and they have been working for decades, like I can say like 3 to 4 decades. However, even they are working for the development, the NGO scientists is still are reluctant to take this best learnings. But currently the way we are going through now, it is an great options, the option I should say. So in that perspective, how should NGOs, INGOs rethink their role in social innovations or their business model, how they can think and build on?
Brilliant. First of all, the entire INGO, NGO-led development initiative or development work is largely being influenced by the international policies of the developed countries, essentially from where the money has been originated to support this work. So it's more of a reflective of an extension of the how global north looks at the global south, and this INGO model was working more as an agent of taking that agenda forward through through the programming. So when the social enterprising happens, it is more driven by the market and more driven by the people. uh, it's not influenced by the political, because the pressure of generating resources on the enterprise itself is not grant dependent, it's revenue dependent. So there is this mind shift, is required. How we look at this entire enterprising, it is not a mere legal identity. It is a completely different approach of how are we delivering, the development to the people. So as any other corporates or any other profit-making entity, you have to listen to your people who are going to be part of your initiatives. If either they are consuming your services or they are going to contribute to it. So unless and until there is a direct connect with the people, no enterprise actually flourish or fly high. Number two, it's in terms of how are we going to remain accountable? Because many a times the INGO sector particularly being criticized of entertaining incompetencies or lethargies or procrastination in the name of innovation, etc., because they were not using their own money. It was coming from somewhere else. So they had this ability to have more expensive policies which can focus on retaining people and grooming them, and which had its own benefits at some extent, but largely on an economic terms it becomes very difficult, because in a profit making, social enterprising kind of a atmosphere, it's very difficult because every penny counts. In fact, every penny you save is considered as every penny you have earned. So there is also some sort of a political shift that is required, the way we look at the social enterprising and its way and the policies, etc. And third element, I felt that it is also about the opportunities. We must learn and focus on what opportunities that this sector or this area gives us. Uh, to me, the most and very important opportunity is that you get the immense liberty to work with your own people, your own issues on your own terms, with your own governments, despite having in ranges of problems with the governments and compliances, etc. But it's our own. It is the social enterprising approach is far more decolonized than the typical conventional grant making approach. So on that count, I felt that this is perhaps more of a change in approach and the way we look at it.
Thank you, Ashish Da. So you have mentioned a very important term, decolonization. From that is a term that we have been discussing in recent time, and from that lens, I would like to come to Dr. Anana Raihan. So from the decolonization perspective, I am not going to the theory of it. From the practical perspective, partnership is key to operationalize it. Like Ashish was mentioning, like social enterprise give us the opportunity to, from our own people, own culture, own ecosystem. So for the, as we are discussing of the opportunities, how we can explore the opportunities considering the current landscape, current decolonization perspective. And for that, how partnership can be a great tool and how we can build the partnership from that perspective. Probably it's the three questions together, but I know you are a thoughtful person who can respond to.
Thank you. Yeah, I would say I start from Ashish's points of opportunity. While there is a crisis in funding, I would say it's short-term crisis, and also the trust deficit. I would say it is also an opportunity of emancipation from the dictate of the aid-providing entities from abroad, because the funding model or the development model have been top-down.
Yes.
And if you look at a community, you will find, say, 20 programs who are working on tuberculosis or clean water. But among them, there is no, connection or exchange of information or approach of co-designing. I think the fundamental principle of relooking into the development activities would be uh, uh, horizontal collaboration, especially at the community level. And community-led uh, development probably would be the mainstream in coming days, where there is a scope to make it bottom up instead of top down, dictated by entities who have been the intermediary of the foreign aid. Why I'm saying this, it's important because often we see that there is an approach of quote unquote, we know what the community needs, rather than we listen or we learn from the community. So that approach have been missing largely, and this is the time to actually adopt that particular principle. And in terms of financial sustainability or financial outlay, I think it's also an opportunity to tap new sources of financing. And I would say that in the short term, it would largely depend on how the national governments are coming forward to support the good work of NGOs and social enterprises. Although we see globally the rise of conservatism and authoritarianism, where the freedom of expression is under challenge. So the right-based organizations are under tremendous pressure now. So the innovations and collaboration would be instrumental, particularly in this component. But NGOs or social enterprises who have been working in service delivery, they have, I would say, immense opportunities now to innovate more in program design, and also finding and innovative uses of new funding sources.
Exactly.
I think uh, new institutions are emerging for facilitating the NGOs and social enterprises to redefine themselves. So that would be probably key.
Yes, yes. So, Ashida, Ananya Rahan was mentioning about the resources mobilization. There is a thought process like, is the money shrinking or are we shrinking? As we are talking about the new model. So, so yes, as I understand, like globally, every year, the GDP growth, global GDP growth is near to 2%. But as a social sector, the way we are working, that is being shrinked. So from that perspective, how we can mobilize money that can help community, and it would be good if you can give an example. You are mentioning about Amul, who has completely changed the Indian social enterprise sector. And particularly, I know in India, for the CSR fund is one of the area where government even inspire the corporations to invest money through social enterprise model. So if I would like to articulate the questions like way, how we can generate resources from innovative way, like from the CSR, from the new funding way, even the crowdfunding and others. And if you would like to give a specific example, that would be great.
Okay, well, the answer to this question is not as simple or straightforward as the question by itself, and the reason for that is, what's your perspective to look at the resource? Because um, if you very briefly see the history, the way development sector evolved post Second World War as part of the establishment of UN, and then as byproduct, the main objective was the development sector, and the major organizations that were involved, Oxfam is one of them, was to actually reconstruct the world, to provide relief, to create humanitarian support channels, and to rebuild the world. To but while doing that work, many of these organizations had their own insights, and they realized that the issues are far more deeper than what they appear on the surface. For example, Oxfam has been working on the entire area of inequality for years. Is because they realize that the poverty is not an outcome of a fate. It is a construct of the way economy is being wired and designed, in which the access to resources is discriminatory available. And those realities have not yet changed. In fact, the situation has become worse. Now, the problem is when I want this resource from the sources which recognizes my philosophical framework or an ideology, then it is true that these kind of resources have reduced because there are not many who support this philosophy. Same like the organization that have been working for years on the climate science and climate change and all of that, they are also receiving setback because there is a straightaway denial to the climate science from most of the one of the biggest economies or biggest political leadership across the globe. So if they expect money to be generated from people or from the institutions or from those nations, obviously we will see that there is a meltdown and there is a reduction of resources. However, it is true that the economy is growing. The world economy is growing by 2.5, 2.8%. There is a lot of resources, a lot of things are generating. And if we think that if to keep the resource at the central to deliver the specific agenda that I have, keeping a bit of my values in a parking shelf, I'm not saying compromise entirely, but not to make them as my filter or drivers, then yes, then there is a money available. Money can come from the corporates, money can come from the these kind of countries, or even the banking instruments have now been expanded. They are even within the debt instruments, there are quite number of instruments. The entire venture capitalism is available for you. The only parameter in those processes works is that how you are ensuring that every investment made in your enterprise translates into the profits and growth. If one can prove that, then obviously there is a lot of money available around that.
Thank you, Ashida. I would like to come to Anona Rahan from a very practical perspective. Recently, Catalyst Now Bangladesh chapter, we have developed our strategy. And there is a lot of discussion how the initiative can be self-sustainable. Ashida was mentioning it's all, even we go for the social enterprise, sometimes the thinking is someone give money and we'll spend. Rather, how we can also design products, services itself that can also generate money. Can you kindly little bit explore that area? How social interest can be can be like self-sufficient, sustainable? And I would like to ask an anecdote in this regard. For an example, in the climate change area, always we look for the global north give climate finance us or will solve our problem. If they don't give money to us, we will be in the same case. That is why sustainability from the ground is very important, like generating sustain from own ourselves. So if I would like to summarize the questions in a way, how social enterprise can be self-sustainable with their own product or services? Over to you.
Thank you. I mean, given the example of Catalyst Now in Bangladesh, we are trying to identify the key problems faced by the social enterprises as a whole. And one of them is capacity deficit for transformation into social enterprise, going into viability gap model. Why I'm saying viability gap model, for a social enterprise, not always possible to generate adequate income to make surplus. So there will always be a gap which needs to be covered. And that is probably also key for a social enterprise, not to forget about public goods approach, because the whole premise of existence of social enterprises is the market failure and the governance failure. So from that perspective, I think the generation of services is important. And one of them is that those who are capable or those who have already successful examples of mobilizing resources from multiple sources should collaborate or support those who have not experienced that. And there is a lot of scope in that arena to develop services, training, and other kind of, support programs for them. So this is one. And also, when the initiatives are community based, community is also ready to participate with their resources, which you have been ignoring. In many cases, actually, we made the community dependent, expecting external support only, whereas we forgot about that community communities are rich with their own resources, both financial and non-financial resources. So that resources need to be tapped now. And I think this is a great opportunity how to do that. And there are many, many examples across the globe in this regard. And also, and here it comes the point of vertical and horizontal collaboration. The bigger NGOs like BRAC or NGOs like Grameen Bank or in India or in Sri Lanka, the largest NGOs, it has become now their responsibility to embrace the smaller NGOs, smaller organizations, to reduce the capacity deficit as well as augment resources for making the community-based initiative successful.
Yes, great. We have so far been discussed around 36 minutes. Let's start here from the audience as well. So if you would like to ask any questions or would like to put any thoughts that we have not covered yet, you can kindly share. And I have some two questions more that I will ask at the end to our two thought leaders who are joining here. So anyone can raise your hand or anyone can put on your either camera or your microphone and ask the questions or share your thoughts. Or I can even ask. I see some of the people whom I know. I can then call. Anyone?
Shariful bhai, I already, this is Jubaida. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
I'm with Oxfam in Bangladesh, based in Cox's Bazar as head of field office. So I already put a question in the chat, but actually I'm not from this particular domain. So maybe my question is, I don't know how relevant it is, but as we are talking more and more about communities, their resources, and how we can actually use their potential. So here I see a lot of work like we do with the CBOs, we call it briefly, community-based
organization,
yeah.
yes.
And not all CBOs are being registered. There's a lot of community groups in different forms, but these are not registered. But we put a lot of investment in both in development, especially in the development program. A lot of investment goes with the CBOs. We form a lot of committees, but they don't sustain. And the
what is their questions, Appa?
Yeah, so my question is that the way we are facilitating this whole concept of CBO, can we make them more sustainable as a cooperative? That's my question, that actually they are not sustaining, where we are doing the mistake. That's what my question is.
Yes, perfect. Sounds clear. So who would like to how the CBOs that we have invested so much, but how we can make them following either cooperative or social enterprise model? Who I would like to respond? Ashida or Anonna?
Maybe. I think, look,
Yeah.
let's understand. Any community-based initiative, whether it is a CBOs or even clubs or anything, they are enterprise in themselves as long as they are not co-opted by these grant-making mechanisms. Honestly speaking, the entire enterprising spirits gets killed the moment they get sponsored by an INGO. Because then their ability of resilience, innovation, ideation, it's actually get killed. Then they start working for the INGOs rather than their own cause. That has been a very generic critique that I have been having for longest period of time. And in most of the places where INGOs have had a very deep-rooted grassroots sponsoring model working, you will see that it has not really flourished well, because once the project is over, the entire thing gets collapsed, and that has been the reason that the sustainability part used to be always a question even among the donor community, because they have been observing it that as long as the project is being implemented, all these things continue. But the moment project gets over, then everything falls back, because the way money is being kind of pushed into this enterprise, sometimes it's beyond the capacity and beyond the remit that they really call for. Having said that, I do believe that the lot of mentoring, grassroots level incubation, as Dr. Rehan was saying, that resource is not only about money. Resources, also in the form of talent and technology and other forms. If those things are being made available to these small initiatives, then they hold all potential to generate their own resources. So that's my 2 cents on this. Thank you.
Perfect. Good. I'd like to add anything, Rahan?
I'd like, yeah,
Yes.
I'd like to add with Ashish that uh, I think the role of NGOs who are coming from the center, I mean Dhaka in case of Bangladesh, is not kind of dictating what needs to be done, rather than to be facilitating the initiatives. Then the mindset is probably shifted, that the community is identifying problems and trying to solve, where the institutions like Oxfam or iSocial or DNet or BRAC, they are actually facilitating in that process of, solving of the problem. So that shift is actually required. And also, I think uh, another challenge is that while you are dependent on external funding, uh, there is a resistance or denial that things need to be changed. So that mindset actually is sometimes also a big barrier. So that also needs to be actually addressed. And uh, often I see that inability to rediscover ourselves.
Yes.
So that is really also one of the major challenges we face. So here actually the role needs to be shifted to facilitation, not to dictate from the top. So that would be I'd say the major part of the solution.
Perfect. Anyone would like to add any comments, questions that you can just put on your microphone and ask? Okay, so let's then go to my final round of questions that I would like to start from. I started from Ashish, then the final round I would start from the Anona Raihan. Dr. Raihan, we have been talking about development models, social enterprise model, and particularly what we can see, there is a lacks or distinct between even the understanding, conversation, awareness, and everything. What you said earlier is that bottom-up model, like thinking the transformation perspective. Even you talk about the social enterprise is very good, but people who are running the whole organization ball game, probably you cannot understand the whole process. So how we can build the awareness and why you need it, and what would be the key to that transformation that we are talking about?
I would say that we can rely on 5 elements. I'd like to propose at the end. One is that overcoming mindset constraints among the social enterprise leaders, that things have changed and we have to think differently, and we have to come out of denial syndrome. And also, I would say that it's an opportunity for us to also come out of the project-based approach syndrome. So the inherent limitation of a project is that when it is ended, the benefit received by the community is also ending. So that mindset shift is probably one of the major things to do. Second thing is that the development narrative and needs to be changed and repositioned. Like I said at the beginning, that we have to come out of the mindset who are working at the center, that we know what solutions are required at the community level, rather than learning from the communities what are the most pressing problem and mobilizing the community for solving their own problem through the facilitation. So community empowerment probably would be the second major element. Third is, as I've mentioned, that we have to overcome capacity deficit, both in program designing and financial innovation. We need to build capacity of the organizations. And there's a huge opportunity in this regard, how we can help the communities to identify different financial sources for supporting their initiatives, including own revenue generation. And here comes the role of the government, because a non-profit organization is being punished for generating revenue because they are being taxed on the revenue itself, not on the profit at the end of any activity. So the regulatory and the ecosystem related things need to be also revisited to support the social enterprises in a better way. So we need to do a lot of policy advocacy in this regard. Fourth is fostering vertical and horizontal collaboration. And among the NGOs, there is trust deficit, lack of transparency. So that we need to overcome.
But can we just also explore what does you mean by vertical or horizontal partnership that can be sustainable?
I mean, vertical means an organization called SoulShare. They have a lot of innovation in the renewable energy sector. And there are smaller initiatives or startups who are trying to build new solutions in the renewable energy sector. So organizations like SoulShare can collaborate with the smaller organization or startups or new organizations. That I would say vertical. And among the social enterprises who are trying to solve problems at the community level, they also need to exchange good practices, resources. So I think these both are them are important. And finally, I would say that we need to work seriously with the government because when the global governments are reluctant or they have their own foreign policy agenda, political agenda, the national government's role have become more important. That irony is that the national governments are also aid dependent, and their mindset is that the charity or good works to be done only when you receive foreign funding. That mindset needs to be changed. And in the national budget, there should be allocation for the NGOs and social enterprises so that the good works which have been done in the community will can be continued. So these 5 elements I think would be important for coming days. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ashish, I would like to read the last questions that you mentioned in your first year, that is global politics. If I frame the questions to you like, we see the global politics have been evolved, following the far right. Even we see the left government, they are acting like a right. Gen Z, even the South Asian perspective, they are now playing a big role. And technology. So politics, Gen Z and technology currently are changing the whole, not only the business supply chain, whole supply chains. Considering this politics, Gen Z and technology, what would be our future way of work, particularly a social enterprise model? What would be the supply chain and where we can focus? That Ryan Bhai was mentioning 5 areas. From 3 perspectives, what's your recommendation or your thought process, how we can evolve as a supply chain or ecosystem from the social enterprise perspective?
Well, first of all, I personally do not agree this right-wing upsurge or left-wing upsurge. It's a upsurge of most opportunist and populist regimes across the globe. Conventionally, what left and right, the way it was devised post French Revolution, those parameters do not apply to any of this regime. What works is what is being entertained on large scale social media handles, and that is where most of the political the political opinions are being made, and they are translated into votes and then the power. So that's basically the realities that we are living with. When it comes to Gen Z, of course, after maybe what has been happening in South Asia, whether it's Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, or very recently in Indonesia and few other places also, like we have seen it in Kenya and Ethiopia, there is a lot of expectation, to some extent hope and etc., because their power could actually not only challenge the establishment, but in many places they were instrumental in changing those or downfalling of the government. But it's not enough to have a clarity on what you do not want. You equally need to have a clarity on what you stand for. And that is where I felt that a lot of work that needs to be done with this new generation. Otherwise, this power, this energy will be misutilized in my way. And that is where I guess the wisdom of the the earlier generation, I won't call it as an older generation. It's also as young as the new ones. But the wisdom of the earlier generation as well as this evolving new generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, um, that combination is required. Sole burden of change we cannot put on the next generation, particularly for the anomalies that we have caused, whether it is in the climate or whether it is in business or whether it is in other ecosystems. Coming to your last part of the question, what are the recommendation and this angle of technology? I think the technology is an instrument that gives you the power to actually connect far more rapidly, far more efficiently to the masses. But the problem is that if that connect is heavy on the dogma, if you want to be connected to those who you want, who are conformist, who only listen to you are basically creating multiple echo chambers, and you get a sense that we are the leaders, but we are not looking outside the echo chamber because entire technology is algorithm driven. What I want to see is what I will be shown, and I end up confirming or assuming that is the trend of the world, which it might not be. So it's very important for us to get out of this algorithmic technological limitations and to establish new ways of connecting with people. In my opinion, coffee meets, actually meeting, even if it is small group, 10, 15, 20, but where in free spaces where we can connect with people, it's those kind of avenues still we must be explored. Just because things are possible in Zoom and Teams, that doesn't mean that we should go away from the human connect that we have. Number two, again and again I keep saying, is that we must revisit where the problem lies. The problems are in the rural part, in the remote part, with people who are being displaced, who are deprived of basic necessities of life like water and food and shelter. Unless and until we connect with them, and connect means not for the just sake of data, actually emotionally, empathetically, we need to have that legitimacy that we represent their issues. I don't think so whatever innovation or whatever technology we bring in, that would actually work. We must have the acceptance at that level for whatever we do. And third part, I do believe that we must embrace the new way of thinking when this Gen Z has come into a play. They like things faster. They like things on a multiple. This is a generation that opens 3 or 4 screens and works simultaneously on those 4
Yes.
things. Right. So that represents the level of appetite this generation has. And if the ecosystem fails to feed that appetite, then I think we are going to disappoint them, and that disappointment will translate into their way
Exactly.
of expressing it, sometimes through anger, sometimes through rejection. So that is where I think we all need to come around and to see and to be aware that the world is changing and we need to be part of this changing world. Thank you.
Perfect. Last 2 sentences from Anona Rahan. As we are organizing this a part of catalyzing Change Week 2025, and you are closely working with the platform locally and globally, any last 2 sentences that you would like to add, particularly from our topic perspective?
Sure. You see, from the current stage, there could be multiple scenarios. One scenario that the good works which have been done or have been doing by various NGOs, social enterprises, will be diminished. So that's the gloomiest scenario. And the best case scenario is that we reinvent ourselves as together, and we find new ways to not only survive but thrive, and taking community or working behind or beside the community would be the mainstay of what we can do in coming days.
Thank you. Last 2 points, Ashish Da, if you would like to add.
I was on mute. No, I think, see, the catalyst now is a perfect pivotal movement in many ways, as it gives the strong caliber for social enterprise of different kinds to come together and collaborate with each other and to create that collaborative environment. In Bangladesh, we are very new. We are just sowing the seeds. But I do believe that Bangladesh has a huge legacy of social enterprising. This is not a new thing for Bangladesh, and this is not a new thing for the world because of Bangladesh. I would also say that. So we are not going to reinvent the wheel, but what we are perhaps trying to do is that we are going to dig down into the past and take got these pearls of learning and wisdom that is now a bit hidden, to bring that back, to polish it, and to again serve it to the young community who desire to go into this social enterprising work. So I feel that there is quite a good promising future lies ahead. And with the people like Ananya and other colleagues, I'm sure that the Bangladesh will be again that contributor to the regional global enterprising and development work.
Thank you so much, Ashish Damle, Country Director of Oxfam in Bangladesh. Thank you so much, Dr. Anand Raihan, Chairperson of iSocial. And what a note you have so far been made. And I'd like to conclude this session by saying, as a summary, in the last 1 hour, we have discussed about the current development model, particularly the NGOs, INGOs, the challenges we are facing, the opportunity that we can explore the social enterprise model as the shift has already been made, how we can also bring those shift from the technology, from the innovation, from the political perspective. We talk about the different model like Amul, Grameen Bank, BRAC, and how INGOs can rethink their role that we talked about. We talk about the partnership that Anona Rahan was rightly mentioning, like vertical and horizontal partnership that can really build the ecosystem. And we also talk about the sustainability from product diversification, service diversifications, and of course, money or resources will be the key. So the innovation lies are there. Ultimately, we talk about Gen Z politics that Ashish was mentioning, particularly whether the government comes in, whether right or left. Ultimately, the people who need our support, that you need to work. So let's work together for the people who need us. Let's work together, leaving no one behind. That is the main call of SDG. And let's work for a sustainable model through social enterprise. Thank you, everyone. And I would like to say goodbye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.